no competing that. Salt Lake is great, but still, it's Miami. Miami, these women were built for the franchise in a way that no other city has really captured.
People love Miami. Are you upset that Dr. Nicole is gone? Are you?
I got I think she's going to be very candid about it, but I got the insider scoop of the reasoning, and it's like totally understandable. And I think it's actually incredibly important and smart that she is doing exactly what she's doing.
Yes, Anthony's ex, Stephanie Soshiji, is going to be a cast member most likely and is filming, and that's a huge reason why.
Who's Anthony? Oh, I'm talking about something else.
Oh, oh, I'm talking about Nicole and like her man, Anthony, his ex is now on the cast
Is
and is
now
filming.
on the
So there's
cast.
that.
Wow.
There's that too.
Uh, there's that too. I think the core reason why she's leaving is something else, and I think it's incredibly respectful and a exercise in self-care that a lot of people in reality television do not prioritize. The other, I would say, franchise that I've always been obsessed with, not in its current, but kind of in its prime, I think the best city has always been Melbourne. Like Melbourne's was it like they just don't make television like it to me. Like Melbourne is like the equivalent of like peak Tiffany Pollard reality television. Like that's what Housewives of Melbourne gave. um and now it's so interesting because like you have like New York, which the thing I love about New York is we're watching the second season, and what works about it is that we got to see this group of women that got catapulted into the public eye, navigate this experience together. And this season has kind of broken the fourth wall in the first time a Housewives franchise has done, through this lens of them navigating what it was like when cameras came up in their lives and they got to know each other because they weren't a friend group in the same way that some like the origin stories have gone down. And I'm very close with Jill Zarin, so it's like I have always been like of the OG mentality, which was women that were already knew each other, and you just throw up cameras because they were born to be on television.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And I think, look, I mean, any TV show, if you think about it in its first season, like you don't know the characters, even if it's scripted, it takes a minute. Like second season is when things kind of, I think New York is kind of coming together.
I hear rumblings of craziness ahead, so I'm tuned in.
Speaking of Jill Zarin, she's a friend of our show here. You've made your famous challah bread with her. You've had a latke bake off. What is it like cooking with Jill Zarin? And did she teach you
Oh my
anything in the
God.
kitchen?
She is my favorite. I mean, I love Jill. I love Allie. We did a joint family breakfast a few years ago, which was so sweet. And then when I had a book signing in Boca, so I just called her up and I stayed with at her house at the country club, and it was magic. It's like I love her. I love Gary. Gary is probably the funniest person. Like her, the fact that honestly, like her and Gary, like their life is the show. Like to me, it's that's there's a reason why RHONY was such a hit, because she was like kind of the anchor.
Yeah.
It's just, and I was at a gala last night and I saw like and I was with Bryn, and then I saw like the Countess and Dorinda were there like running around, um, and so there is this degree around the socialite element that the New York housewives get to embody that's kind of missing from the other franchises in a way that I I don't know. Maybe it's because I live it and I'm there and I get this front row seat to a lot of these experiences and places that it's New York is its own character in the show. That for a lot of the other franchises, the city is not taking such a strong stance.
I would agree. And this is what happens in New York. Like these are events, like there is the media. So I feel like it adds all of that. And yeah, like if you're in New York and you go to these things, you do see housewives. It's like a real
Yeah.
thing.
Yes, yes.
You're working on a third cooking. I mean, you're very busy with Jake Makes It Easy, but you have a third cookbook that you're working on.
Yeah, comes out next year. I'm in edits right now. Well, as soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna go straight back to click clacking away.
That's exciting. Well, you speak of Rachel Ray and like all these women that you looked up to. What was it like cooking with Martha Stewart?
The dream. She was it's I was so nervous because she's obviously like
Yeah.
has built this empire. I show up to Bedford. She's in her pajamas. She invites me in. She makes me a cappuccino. She's like, "Can I fry you an egg?" I was there with this other guy. I was like, "I'm good." And he goes, and he elbows me. He goes, "Martha just offered to fry you an egg. You say yes." I was like, "Oh yeah, of course. Why would I not have Martha Stewart make me eggs?" She made me a delicious little egg with some buttered toast, and then we shot the show. And I brought her. I don't know, I was being a little bit of a kiss ass. I brought her like copies of my book and I made these like date brownies from my book for her and the team. And she loved them. She loved the book. She loved the brownies. We made rugula on the show. She loved how they came out. She was impressed in a way that I knew she would be, but I was so nervous that something would go wrong when I really, that's again some of the work that I'm doing of like embodying who I am and my power. But it was magical because that's all I want is to be respected by these women that have really paved the way for me to be able to do what I love to do.
I could see you being nervous to go up to Bedford and go to Martha's house. And let's face it, Martha's not going to say she likes your date brownies if she doesn't. Period.
Period.
Period. What do you want people to take away as they watch this show? Jake makes it easy.
Um, that cooking's fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Embrace the goofiness. We're all clowns, and learn how to cook and start inviting people you love over to eat. Don't go out to a restaurant. Come welcome people into your home.
And if it's a scene and hard to get into, run for the hills.
Period.
Period. And as we wrap up, again, everyone needs to check this out October 28th at 10 p.m. It is the premiere. I will share the link when this comes out. Are we mentioned all these people, Martha, like, do you get starstruck? You talk about embodying who you are now, who you are. Like, are you the type that gets starstruck? And if you were to have a dinner party with anyone alive or has passed, like, who would you want there?
So I will do a little bit of name dropping because this just came up. This exact question, which I love this
This
question.
podcast
So
was almost called name dropping, so you feel free to name
love.
drop.
So I'm very close with Benny Blanco, and pretty much what happened, the music producer is dating Selena
Yes.
Gomez, and I called him a few months ago and was like, hey, here's the deal. I had a very breath summer. I've loved Troy for years. I was like, I would like you to get it. He's in the music world, so I know where to call in my favors. And I don't really care about a lot of music things. I don't go to concerts unless I love everything. And this is an example of where I loved everything. So it's like, I need you to get us tickets to the Sweat Tour in LA, and I want you to bring me backstage to meet Troy after. And if you do that, I'll come do Yom Kippur with you. And he was like, say less. So we do that, was amazing. It's this beautiful Yom Kippur of friends and family and like I mean and like Ali Wong and all it was great. But that came up where someone asked me that like who that came up in conversations like who's your starstruck person, like who's the person that you would lose your
Yeah.
cool with, because I really it doesn't happen often. And it's Fran Drescher because she is my everything. I am a fancy girl from Flushing. I grew up in Bayside, Queens. We have the same dialect. The Nanny is I think the best show to ever be created. I think that she embodies like a level of confidence and style and pride in her own quirks that I've always kind of had as my North Star. So she's probably the only one. And yet I know we're going to get along so well. Like that this is like that.
Yeah, like I've had her on this podcast twice. I feel like you could make that.
Mm,
Like I feel like that's
I
gonna happen.
know.
Like that's
But I'm big
really
into manifesting and I don't like to force things. Like she's going to come to me when she's meant to come to me.
she is. Listen, that's a good one. That there's nothing wrong with a little Fran Drescher. So, that's a really good one. Well, thank you very